Hi everyone! I've made a bit of progress on the airplane recently and I got to do some covering, so I wanted to throw together a quick little update video. One thing that is a bit disappointing is I wasn't able to move the airplane out of the shop for filming. Now that it has the horizontal stabilizer installed, which is pretty much impossible to remove without disassembling everything, it's become quite a process to get it out. Um, that's a bit disappointing because the shop isn't exactly the most photogenic filming location, and also it makes it kind of hard to get very much of the airplane in frame. So I apologize for that. Um, since my last update, the first thing that I worked on was finishing up things that were left undone. There were a lot of things, especially on the horizontal stabilizer, that needed to be finished up. So I added the internal bracing, I added the external bracing, I made some fittings, I did the hinges for the ailerons, and I also did the control horns, which you guys can't see right now because the elevators are taken off. Um, Another thing that I did was I varnished all of the wood. The wood was left unvarnished for kind of a concerning amount of time. I was starting to get really worried about it being weathered. So it was a huge relief to finally get it protected. I used spar varnish, which isn't quite as good as epoxy varnish, but I've heard that some people in the peat and pole community use it. Um, to discuss the covering itself, the fabric that I used is uncertified Dacron from Aircraft Spruce. This isn't historically accurate, unfortunately, because this is a polyester-based fabric, and it also has a very coarse weave compared to historical fabrics, but it's a really great fit for me. Originally, the SE5A would have been covered in either grade A cotton or Irish linen. Grade A cotton is pretty much impossible to find. Irish linen can be found, but it's about $30 a yard. This stuff, on the other hand, is $5 a yard, so it's perfect for me. Um, for my adhesive to stick the fabric to the wood, I simply use Polytack. Um, uh, the only covering that I've done prior to this was covering a model airplane with Monocoat, which has like a heat activated adhesive built into it. So that extra element of having a separate adhesive turned out to be a lot trickier than I was expecting, but I did get it figured out eventually. Um, the dope that I was using is nitrocellulose dope, which is historically accurate. It'll also end up needing a coat of butyrite dope as well to help protect it a bit more. But I just use one coat of nitrocellulose dope just to get it really quickly covered so I can see what it looks like. Um, One thing that you're probably noticing is that I wasn't able to do the elevators or the horizontal stabilizer. And the reason behind that is I ran out of Polytack and dope. So I'll have to wait to cover those until more comes in the mail. So there will eventually be a covering part two. Another thing that you may be noticing isn't covered is the sides of the fuselage and also the bottom of the fuselage. And the reason for that is those areas are actually one giant inspection panel. On the SE5A, there's like a flap that goes along the side that has a whole bunch of grommets on it, and the fabric on the bottom and sides just laces to that flap, and so that way it can be removed in case you ever need to adjust the tension on the bracing wires to account for warping as the wood in the fuselage ages. The reason I haven't done that yet is my sewing skills definitely aren't quite up to scratch for doing that, so I've been putting it off, but I'll have to do that eventually too. So the things that I were able to do were the rudder, the vertical stabilizer, and the turtle deck. Um, the rudder has a few problems, but it's definitely usable. The turtle deck came out almost perfect. I didn't have any troubles with that. The vertical stabilizer, on the other hand, does have some problem zones. There's a giant ugly patch right here, and there's a little patch right here. Since patches are safe to use for repairs, it seems like it should be safe to have patches right out of the gate, but they are super ugly and kind of embarrassing. So I may end up recovering that. I'm not quite sure. Um, stay tuned for a second covering video coming, hopefully not too far away. Another thing to get excited about is the flywheel delayed rifle. I have made some big changes, as you can probably guess by the new magazine, and these changes have resulted in forward progress for what feels like the first time in a very, very, very long time, which is very exciting. If you can guess what I've rechambered it in, go ahead and leave a comment. One hint that I'll give you is that it's not boring old 5.56. It's something much more fun. Another thing that's coming down the pipeline is a Maverick V2 review, and I also have something very, very exciting and secret coming. So stay tuned for one of these projects. I'm not sure which one will be next. Thank you so much for watching, and a huge thank you to my Patreon supporters. I greatly appreciate your help.